This workflow helps me generate images for social media, and I'm not even going to talk too much. I'm just going to show you how it would work. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot of this workflow just very quickly. It's kind of funny what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to take a screenshot of this, and then I'm going to have it generate the sort of the content that I would use to promote this workflow online. So you'll understand in the future. So basically, this workflow it's called simple Instagram hook image creator. So it's effectively an n8n workflow that helps me promote templates on Instagram or other image platforms, I guess, image-based platforms, to show people what I've built in a cool way. So the image I'm going to use the exact same screenshot that I just created of that template. Okay, it's not really a template, but it's the workflow itself, which is the last one. Like, as you can see, that's probably how it looked back there. So this is it. I'll upload this file, and then I don't need to think too much about the other sections. Like this would have been the place where I would have put in maybe the image URL that I would have gotten there, but it's unnecessary to like do anything about this. And then the image type here, we're going to set it as screenshot because that is what this is, and this is also very useful for the workflow. I'll submit this over here. Okay, so let me tell you about what's going to happen next. It's going to use this template demo template on Placid to generate an image that looks something like this. So as you can see, it's just like the image, the screenshot in the background, and then it's got some promotional text and some promotional subtext over here with my Instagram handle right there. Let's come here and we'll test the workflow just to see what's going to happen. And I'm going to explain everything that happens afterwards, and we're also going to see the content that gets generated and stored in the Airtable later on, just to see the output image. Okay, perfect. So let's go to Airtable here. We'll go to view data, and I just want to show you the image that got generated. So this is not the social media, it is the images, screenshots, and memes. And this is the image. So as you can tell, this was the image that we uploaded, right, this one, and then this is the image that was created. Boom. So it's even got a like the logo of our agency, Tech Fusion Alchemy, and it's the Instagram handle. It's the new title, which is different from the one in the templates, which is called Image Generation Made Effortless, but this one is Unleash Your Creative Potential with Dynamic Workflows. And then there's also some promotional text. Effortlessly promote your innovative templates on Instagram and beyond, captivating your audience with stunning visuals. Elevate your brand presence and streamline your promotional efforts in just a few clicks. So as you can tell, it's even like in a square kind of post, which is perfect for Instagram too. So these are all things that you need to consider when promoting your image content on Instagram. So we took something like this, we turned it into this, and all it took was a few seconds. I'm going to post that image on Instagram from now on, and I'm going to be generating images like these probably every day, just to scale up my content, my reach online. Let me run you through this workflow so that you can do the same. But before then, like, if you want to like develop systems like these, just hit me up. I'd love to get involved. I love content, I love social media, and I'd love to solve the problems that you're dealing with or that you want to solve in your business. So let's get started. That's basically the test workflow. I could have set this up so that it runs automatically, but I felt like there was no need, because I wanted to demo it sort of like just by showing you. I wanted you to see the green lines flowing, just so that you could understand. So here this is the Airtable. We are getting we're getting the image description. It's basically the content that we're going to use to generate more content. We're getting the image descriptions, the URLs, and everything that we need. And now you understand why it was important to set the image type as screenshot, because there could be other images that we upload, and all of those are probably going to have their own separate workflows. So it's very important to have this be set up in the beginning. And then we got the image with the correct record ID, and we also got that same image description that we put in. So it's like an n8n workflow that helps me promote templates on Instagram, other image platforms, to show people what are built in a cool way. Right, that's it. The most important things that we're getting here is this image description and this URL, right? Because this is the URL that is the URL that's hosting the image that we're going to be sort of pasting onto the template that we have on Placid. So here we set the limit as 1, and we set the creator to be descending order, so it's going to give us the latest image that we just put in. Again, if it was like an automatic sort of an Airtable trigger, there would have been no need to set all of this up, so we can just move on. Here is an if node. What we're doing is we're checking the status, so we're checking if it's to create. So what we did here in the in Airtable, we set up the status so that it's got 3 different statuses. So the first status is to create. Actually, there's a few different types of images here. So like some of them are for image generation, and some of them are for automation. So those are for image generation. They have a different workflow that I might just show to you another time. But yeah, this one is checking if it's to create, and then if it needs to be created, we've already checked that it's a screenshot. Like, as you can imagine, the other ones have different types, so like the other ones don't even have images because they still need to be generated. So it's grabbing the right image and it's checking for the right status. So if it's true, then it's going to start generating content, but if it's false, then it's going to just move on and then grab the image content, and you'll understand what's actually happening later on. So here is the magic. This is the place where we we take what we have, which is the image description, and we turn it into useful stuff that we can use when generating the template. So it's the title and the subtitle. Let me just run you through how it works. This is the it's the system prompt. You are an insightful, creative, and engaging AI that specializes in generating effective and creative marketing copy. So your task is to create a compelling title and a brief 2-sentence subtitle for promotional marketing. Right, that's basically it. We even tell it the how we want it, because we want it in JSON format. It's easier that way for us. Like, we don't need a code node to split the text and into useful sections. We can also specify that we don't want anything but the text that we want, which is just great for us. So yeah, that was the system prompt, right? Very simple, very straight to the point. The user prompt has more detail, and it also has a bunch more rules that it needs to follow. But as you can tell here, we're dragging in this image description that we got from the previous node. I guess you could say from the first node, because the second node, which was the Airtable, getting the descriptions, and we're specifying the output again here. The if node was just going to pass on the information anyway, so it's fine. Here are some rules to follow when generating your prompt. Right, please ensure the title is sharp and concise. The output must be sharp and concise, avoiding unnecessary filler words while maintaining clarity. Right, these types of rules, you might be wondering how I'm able to generate them. I use a Copilot, so I'm always, when I'm creating these, I use Copilot like all the time. So what I do is I effectively have it come up with the rules that I'm going to use. So here I was like, give me some rules for the model to adhere to when generating the output, and then I just grab them and put them here. And it's very useful to like have AI generate your prompts for you, because I have it generate prompts, I have it generate rules, I have it generate practically everything, like even code. That's just a testament to the power of AI and just how much you can actually create, like if you leverage the right tools. And this is a tool that I leverage all the time. So yeah, like it's pulling in the description and it's going to use the description to generate the content. So the next one is the assistant prompt, which is basically just giving it an example of like what we expect. So yeah, just a general example with a title and a subtitle, just a 2-sentence thing, very simple. And then here is the content, right? It gives us in JSON format just as we liked it. It's got the unleash your creative potential with dynamic workflows. And if you look at the image again, it's exactly that. Unleash your creative potential with dynamic workflows. So that's exactly like there is a real flow here. This isn't fake. Okay. You'll understand why. Okay, you might be seeing if we were doing this in a simple way, this first image would have gotten overwritten, but like you'll understand why it didn't get overwritten later on when I'm explaining the how it works, like how it's able to add on an image instead of overwriting the entire field in Airtable. So here it comes down here, and then what this node does is effectively gives the oh, it's doing dot item here. It can't do dot item anymore. It's supposed to do dot first. Okay, so it gets the so this gets the actual record again using the ID that we just got from the previous content or the first node. And this is useful because we had two different lines of execution, right? I just went through the first line. So the second line is a line that I created because there was like in my testing phase, there was a time where I needed to I had to generate text content, and then I stored it, and then I wanted it to continue onwards and generate the images, but it won't just run through and do that, right? It needs you to restart the workflow. So it's better to just have a second line of execution where now the status has changed to to use, and you might know, and you might be wondering when it was changed. It was changed over there in this Airtable node that was updating the table. So here it's throwing an error for .item because of the loop thing that comes later on. Like it can't find the item anymore because we're doing .item. You might understand that this was totally correct when it's running the first time, because if it wasn't correct, then it wouldn't have gotten this output. But after ending the workflow, when it's looking at the whole thing again, it might say it can't reference it because it genuinely can't, and that will always be true. So here we are updating it with the image title and the image hook, which is that description the subtitle that we just got there. And then we're also updating this with automated, and then we're updating the status as to use. So that was for like in case when we were developing all of this, if anything failed, which it did like a few times, we could just run it again without going through OpenAI, without creating new content like every single time. So this is effectively just a sort of like an anchor, right, that just calls this again but with new data, because we know that this will always have the text title and the image hook. It'll always have that. So the next thing here is an edit fields node that is basically just creating a variable that we can call later on. It's just image URLs, right? I understand that I don't really need this, but I just like having it here because I feel like it's very useful. This one is a very important node that prepares the payload that is going to be going into the HTTP node, which is the next node. So if you've dealt with Placid before, then you'll know that this is exactly how they want their payloads to look like. It's always the template UUID, which is effectively this, right? It's the UUID, so it's effectively telling Placid to use that template. And then these are the layers that are involved: the description, the title, the photo. These are the layers that we want to change. And you might be wondering, well, how are we changing them? We're changing them with this information that we're getting from the previous node, which is the Airtable node. We're taking the title, which we just stored, we're taking the description, which we just stored, and the image URL, which we're getting from over here. And then we're putting them all in there dynamically. And then we're sending it back, we're sending this payload, and that's the array that we're getting here, which has the payload object, which is ready to go into the next node, which is the HTTP request. So this HTTP request is it's doing a post request to Placid. So it's api.placid.app API/rest/images. This is the image generation API, yeah, it's just header auth authentication. You can come to Placid, and then if you go to, there's a section that deals with this. It's called the API tokens, right? You just go over there, you'll get your API token very easily, and then you can set up header auth easily. And then the content type here, we specified it as application JSON, but we also specified in the body content as the content type application JSON, and then we literally drag in the payload object, that is payload 0, and then it gives us this data when it's running. Because like how it works is it takes time to generate images, at least the way Placid is doing it. So here they give you an ID, which is like the image ID, and then they also give you the polling URL, which contains the ID. So you could use the ID to send requests to Placid to ask them like, hey, how is the status of my image generation going? And they will give you an answer. Like there's a few things. Again, check the documentation if you really want to like go in deep on this. But yeah, this polling URL is the most useful thing for us, and that's exactly why I think they're giving it to us, because we can literally use it in this next node, as you'll see next. What this one does is we're waiting 5 seconds just generally, because we know it's going to take time. So we're just going to wait 5 seconds like automatically. But as you'll still see, there's still these 2 items, which means that it ran through twice, like as you saw before, meaning that the 5 seconds weren't enough. So it is what it is. But while we're waiting, so we sent in this polling URL that you just saw from the previous node, right? And it's basically asking Placid, hey, like, are you done generating the images? And again, we needed this header auth. This time we're not sending a body, so there's nothing to think about over there. But the most important thing here is this if node here, which is effectively checking the status, because like every time we send the polling request, it gives us back a status. So if the status is not finished, then we want you to just keep checking every 5 seconds, just keep checking. And then the status here, after checking the second time, was finally finished, and then we were able to get this image URL, and that's what we're going to use, because this image URL is an S3 and it's literally .jpeg. So like if you take this, like if you copy this URL and then you paste it in over there, you should be able to just download the image naturally. So this is the image, this is the hosting URL where the image is being hosted. It's very useful for applications, and you'll find out next. What we want to do is we want to store the image in Airtable. So because it's more useful that way, like you just have one centralized storage for like all our images. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to, if we were doing this simply, like if what we wanted to do was just store the image in an empty attachments, right? Because like the image field for like the attachments is called image. If we wanted to store it in an empty attachments, like we could just send it in, like we could just do the most basic sort of we would put it in an object, so in an array of objects, and then the object itself would have the key assignment of URL, and then it would be the URL itself, like this, right? This. But the idea here is the fact that the attachment field here, it already has an image. And if we did something like that, just simply, it would have just overwritten this image. This image would just disappear. So what we want to do is we want to save this image, which means we want to bring this image in as an attachment already. So we're taking these images in, whatever they are, and then we're processing them and then adding the attachment, the new image in there, just like retroactively. So here what this does is it ensures that the attachments is an array of objects with a URL property, which it is, because that's just how Airtable assigns like its attachments. So yeah, URL, and then it assigns the URL over there. You might notice that there are all these other sort of variables like width, height, and file name and size and all that. We don't really care about that. Like, it's better to have Airtable assign those for us when we're putting the image in. We just care about the URL. The file name might be useful to assign yourself, but then again, we don't really care because this image is going to go to social media anyway. It's just for marketing purposes. It might be good to have a file name if you care, but if we already like are storing images like this, with a way to like understand what kind of campaign they were a part of, then there's no real need to like think too much. So here, this line might be the most important one, I think. It's just merging the existing attachments, which is these ones, and then the new attachments, which is the ones that we just created over here. And then it returns the JSON object with the images. And then finally, excuse me, what we do next is we insert the image URLs back into Airtable. So it takes the images. We also have a certain an image URL, which is just this URL that we assign over here. So this makes it very easy to like create, not only to create images, but to have them be like usable immediately. So like imagine taking a screenshot of a workflow that you just created and then having it turn into something like this that you can immediately post on Instagram for marketing purposes. Like, this is the power of AI and automation, and it would have been impossible to like have something like this if it wasn't for, you know, AI and automation. So yeah, I'm very happy that this worked out, and I hope you learned something today. If you're interested in building systems like these, then feel free to hit me up in the comments. I'm like, as soon as I turn this video off, I'm gonna post that image on Instagram. So, and I'm going to be posting more as well, because that's just the nature of content. Content is a volume game, and I think by the end of the month, this whole table will just be filled with all of this interesting image, screenshot, and other types of content. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you when I see you, which is probably tomorrow.